Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Today we got another special review today. We're going to be taking a look at the Jurassic Park 93 Classic Dr. Alan Grant Tactical Claw Pack. So this is another set for part of the 93 Classic collection, in celebration of the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park, and also a celebration of the toys that came out around then from Kenner. And Mattel is doing such a great job in producing toys that literally bring most of us JP fans back to the 90s with all these toys. Now, obviously myself, I didn't grow up in the 90s, so I never got to experience seeing all of these on shelves back then. But what Mattel is doing with these now is literally giving me that feeling of what seeing these toys on the shelf would have been like back in the 90s, and I'm super excited to get to experience that, even though it's not exactly what it was back then. I think this is a very close feeling as to what it probably would have felt like, and I'm just super happy that Mattel is doing this. Taking a look at this awesome packaging for this set here, this is very gorgeous artwork, very reminiscent to the Kenner toy packagings with the sunset in the background, the reds and the yellows and the cool jungle silhouettes in the background, plus the addition of the Jurassic Park gates. I love this JP30 logo up here. It's the classic JP mark that you'd see on all these toys back then. They don't have them on now, but it's a cool little Easter egg there. And you got awesome artwork here that shows Dr. Alan Grant, which is looking very much like the Kenner one. In this little pose here, Dr. Alan Grant shooting the huge claw launcher thing towards these two dinosaurs. We got a baby Velociraptor here, which is literally just the same render as Velociraptor Beta, but just kind of tweaked a little bit. And then we got a cool picture of the Kenner style Gallimimus. We got the 93 Classic logo. And here at the bottom, an awesome Jurassic Park logo right there. I mean, look, I love Jurassic World, but something about this classic Jurassic Park logo is just super cool. And you got the cool words right here, Dr. Alan Grant Tactical Claw Pack. This is in the same exact font that you'd see on the Kenner toys back then, so that's a huge plus right there. And then the awesome Mattel logo. Here on this side, you just got the Jurassic Park logo, and on the other side, the same thing. And here on the back, much like what we saw with the Explorer set in the last review, this is just like the Kenner toys back in the day. You got a cool picture of the toys, in a diorama set, which is super cool. And then it shows you the different action features that are very reminiscent to Kenner, because everything's in a gray background with some red borders on the bottom, which is really cool. But this shows you can launch, this cool little grappling hook, and this little claw thing can stick out, and then it has capture gear. Here we go, we got capture gear on smaller dinosaurs this time. This is super cool. I'm super excited. I've always wanted to acquire capture gear on a Jurassic Park dinosaur. I don't have any except for the ones that Mattel released back in the Dinoscape toy line, and now we have ones for the smaller species, at least, because I always wanted to have capture gear for these smaller ones, and these ones look very reminiscent to the ones that Kenner released, so I'm super excited. And this shows you the names of all the characters that you get, shows you fax app information, and then the Mattel logo, and then it shows you what it comes with and the other products that you can get, which is very reminiscent to the Kenner catalog that you see on the back of the toys. Which is really cool. I have pretty much all these. Stay tuned for the Ian Malcolm review coming up, and then I'm still on the lookout for that awesome T-Rex. So yeah, very awesome. I especially love the Kenner and Kenner-esque artwork on here. It looks super cool. So let's go ahead and take a look at the figures that are contained in this awesome set. Alright, so here we have everything out of the box, and I do want to point out that when you open the box, which was a hassle, by the way, you kind of had to damage it, which I don't like, but it's easy enough to fix with some tape. But when you open the box, a lot of these things come in bags, except for Grant and the Gallimimus. They come in no bags, they're just kind of sitting in there. But all the accessories and the baby raptor all come in little plastic baggies, which you can just easily open and get all these stuff out. So it was a lot of fun getting that stuff out. I like having to open little mini blind bags, I guess, to kind of see what you got, even though we already know what we're getting, but it was pretty fun. This is a lot of stuff in that little set, which I really like. I think what we have here is super awesome, and Mattel, I really hope you guys continue this in the future. Maybe not just continue it with the 93 classic toys if you end up continuing that, but maybe consider doing this with your modern Jurassic World toys. You know, I think you could do a lot of cool things with this, you know, have more Jurassic World inspired, you know, just having a human from those movies with a dinosaur, a baby of some sort, and some cool accessories, whether they're based on the movie or just kind of like your own little creative thought. I think that you guys could really benefit from doing that. I really enjoyed it, and have some cool artwork on the box. I think that would be perfect. So here is our Dr. Alan Grant, our new Alan Grant figure, which is obviously based of not only the one from 1993's Jurassic Park, but it is also based off of the Kenner one in some way, shape, or form. It's not a direct look-alike with that figure, but it does capture that feel very well, and you can kind of see how this one is based off of it. Mainly because of the limited amount of stuff painted. There is like a lot more of a simpler color palette or stuff painted on this figure, which makes it look kind of simple, but that's exactly how Kenner made it, so I love it. It's like a direct homage to that toy line. Taking a look at the face here, it looks very much like Sam Neill's face, or Alan Grant's face, I guess you could say, but it's very good. The eyes on mine are very well done. That's the one thing I guess I didn't really like with this set, is not knowing what the dinosaur or the human figure is going to look like. You don't want the paint to be messed up, or there was even some cases that not everything in the bag was in there, so I'm really happy that in both of my sets they came with everything, so that's really good. So my figure is really good as of now. Nice sculpt work on the hair and his classic Alan Grant hat. And then the clothes, it is a blue shirt, but I can't tell what is it. It could be a jumpsuit because it has like a little zipper going on here, which is really cool looking, like the little wrinkles and the little chest pocket there. And I like how the whole zipper is painted in like this metallic color. And here on the back is a lot more simpler, but you got some nice little folds and wrinkles there. And the arms are nicely sculpted as well. And here towards the pants, you got the belt, which is nicely sculpted and nicely painted there on the little belt buckle. Couple little accessories hooked onto his belt right there, which is really nice, especially on the back. You got something right here, maybe like a radio or something. And the pants overall are nicely sculpted with the pockets, you know, on the back and on the legs themselves. And you got some cool looking knee pads, which is reminiscent to the Kenner Alan Grant. But yeah, the pants are nicely sculpted, and the same with the boots, which are nicely sculpted as well. So very nice in terms of detail on this figure. Really like it, and I really dig it a lot. I guess we'll go ahead and compare it with the original Kenner Alan Grant here. And I know it's kind of scuffed up, but you know, I use this one a lot. He's been through a lot of adventures, I'll say that. But as you can see, they are very similar, you know, but they have like that simpler color scheme, just a blue shirt, lighter colored pants, you know, kind of like this one has, except this one has more stuff painted around the belt. The belt is even painted itself, and the knee pads are also painted. This one doesn't have that. So if they wanted to make it look exactly like it, they could have painted the belt and painted the knee pads, which you can see that they're there, but they're not painted like this one. So they're very similar in some way, but they have a little bit of a Mattel twist to it, which is really cool, you know. So very cool to see both these together. You got 1993 and then you got 2023. So very cool to see these two generations, you know, come together. Here is the original Legacy collection, which is pretty much the same, except, you know, there's a lot of difference in terms of clothing. This one's based off of the movie. This one's more based off of Kenner. But they look very cool together. And as you see, there's more stuff painted on this one, which is not on this figure. So very interesting. And we'll go ahead and throw in the Jurassic World Dominion Alan Grant, which is by far my favorite, or at least one of my favorites, I guess you could say. But they look pretty good. They have like almost the exact same color shade of blue for their shirts. I think the Dominions is a bit darker. But it's pretty cool because you got, this is old Grant. So really cool to see all those. And yeah, very happy with this Alan Grant. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the hatchling Velociraptor. So I really love this. Mattel is really literally going back to the Kenner days where all the human figures came with a hatchling dinosaur. And I really hope Mattel continues to do that because I really love what they did with this. It's just a baby generic Velociraptor. You know, you can add this with your wild packs across the island, which is really cool. And I think what makes this special too is that, you know, back when Fallen Kingdom was released, you know, Mattel released a lot of the human figures by themselves and they came with a dinosaur, but they just packaged those humans with a mini dinosaur. So basically just those generic scaled down adult sized dinosaurs that are in the form of a mini that they released a lot of, and they counted that as like a baby dinosaur or something. So I really did not like that. I still don't like that. I think they could have benefited more if they actually included a different sculpt of a hatchling, an actual baby version of a dinosaur. And so far they've done that really well with, you know, obviously past baby hatchlings, but also this Velociraptor and a Triceratops. So hopefully we can get some more hatchlings, not minis, but just hatchlings in the future, like a Baryonyx Carnotaurus, or heck, I think it'd be really cool if we even got a Giganotosaurus, just because I think that'd be really cool. So this little guy right here is really detailed for being a mini one. There is no articulation, just a solid piece of plastic, but it is nicely painted because the eyes are yellow, if I can get it to focus, but the eyes are yellow and you got a nice dark green color on the top there, but it looks just like a generic Velociraptor, which is nicely sculpted with the muscle definition and all the other wrinkles and folds in the skin. The feet are nicely sculpted as well, same with the hands and that classic pronated wrist position, and some cool little, you know, line work on the top of the head there. So very cool, a nice little baby hatchling Velociraptor. Which I really like, and it's made of a somewhat of a bendy plastic, though it's a lot more sturdy and firm, which I really like because that means it won't get warped so easily. We'll compare it with other baby raptors that I have. Here is the original baby blue that came with an Owen figure back in 2018 for the Fallen Kingdom line. This one was pretty good. You know, this made for a good size of a baby blue, but taking a look at the size, this one, there's a huge size difference. This one is definitely a lot bigger than blue right here, and I will say this one's probably better proportionate and you know, better sculpt. Really cool to see these two together. We'll throw in Beta, you know, which is still a baby raptor, but she's not really a hatchling, she's just a bit older, so this kind of makes sense. But I will say this actually makes for a perfect size for Beta in my opinion, because then you can kind of picture this laying on Owen's shoulder, you know, even though this is Grant, but you know, you get what I'm trying to say. So, but it is cool to see these two different raptors together. So you get like freshly hatched little hatchling here, and then we get a somewhat older baby, like a toddler or something. So that's really cool. Next, we get on to the other dinosaur, which is the Gallimimus, and this one is really gorgeous looking. It's got that best Gallimimus position of a toy that Mattel has released a few times. I like this one much better than their Attack Pack version. This one's just a far more superior and looks more like a Gallimimus. And the colors on this one are amazing. I love the colors on this Gallimimus. And this one has a bit more sculpted detail than the previous one. So like taking a look at the head here, if I can get it to focus, you know, you get your nice little finer scale detail across the head. I love the black eye. You know, makes it look probably a little more naturalistic and reminds me of that, like a cow or other animals that just have just plain dark eyes and they have that cool little shine to it. Very bird-like too, I guess, for our Jurassic Park Gallimimus, which looks really nice. And you get some nice wrinkles down the neck, which look nice as well. And here on the body, the arms are pretty much the same like the previous releases. Nice muscle definition and some nice wrinkles across the entire body. But you got some finer scale detail hidden around the body in different places, such as like right here on the body and bits here and here on the legs. But I love the sculpt work on this one. Very cool. You know, here on the bottom, very nice sculpt work. And same with the tail, which has got some nice line texture all the way through. And here the legs, nice long ostrich looking legs, and then nice muscle definition. And the feet are looking nicely sculpted as well. And look at that, you can kind of see remnants of the older scan code that Mattel used to have with their dinosaurs. So I'm not sure, this could be like a reused mold or something. They just kind of got rid of the scan code, but you can kind of see it right there, which is very interesting. Everything is pretty much nicely sculpted on this one. And the Gallimimus also comes with the FactSap feature there. The colors are beautiful on this one. They match the Kenner one very well as the actual model that they created for the movie as a prop, which I think is really cool. They are very reminiscent of what this one has. I just really love the patterning and the colors, the way they contrast and blend, or I guess they fit together very well. In terms of articulation, this Gallimimus has a bit more articulation than the previous releases, and I'm not talking about Hammond Collection, but in terms of just these ones, the head can go down about that far, and they can rotate pretty much all the way around 360. And the arms can go forwards and backwards, and they can pivot in and out. And the legs are much more smoother in terms of articulation compared to the other releases, which they can go forwards and backwards pretty much 360, and they can pivot in and out, and the tail can also swivel as well. And then we'll go ahead and compare that with the original Gallimimus of this same color that Mattel released back in 2020, I believe. So this one was obviously, you know, in reference to the Kenner one, and then Mattel just released a much better one right here. This one, the colors are a lot more simpler, I guess, a lot more, I guess, smoother, less, I guess, complex in some way, which looks really nice. It is a nice Gallimimus sculpt overall, but I prefer this neutral pose instead. The only thing that this one has that I wish this one had was the lighter color on the underside. I think this one could have benefited from that too, just a little bit, but it's really cool to see both these together. The blues are a slightly different color. This one's more of a light blue. This one's more of like a dark blue. It's got also a hint of like a purple violet tone to it too. But it's got cool little patterns. I love the tiger stripes on this one, but I really like the splotchy, you know, patterning on this one. Kind of more believable and naturalistic, if you ask me. And here is just another Gallimimus of the same pose. This was the very first Legacy Collection one that was released back in 2018. I really like this one. It's more movie accurate paint scheme, but it's really cool to see these ones together. So very cool looking. Okay, let's take a look at the accessories, because this set comes with a bunch of accessories. So first up, we got this cool grappling hook launcher gun, which is really cool. I will say Mattel's definitely getting the Kenner vibe by giving us oversized weapons that are way too big for any human to literally carry. But you know, that's for like playability, you know, for kids, I guess. But it's also kind of looking back towards the way Kenner and other Jurassic Park toy lines kind of did with their weapons, such as the Hasbro ones that were back in like 2009, like at Toys R Us. They had oversized weapons as well. So really cool. I like the detail on this one. It looks really cool. It's most like a crossbow, but it's more for like a grappling hook, which is really cool. It's got some nice looking string right here and a cool little rubber band, which is really cool. And you got a little handle for the characters to hold on to it. And basically you just push this button and it launches it. So that's really it. So there you go. I got the Gallimimus. And yeah, I like this. This suit's pretty far. I do like how the string is attached to this, so you won't ever lose it. But basically you just put it back in like that, and the rubber bands kind of stretch. Next up, we got this grappling claw thing right here, which based on the instructions, you just basically pinch these two tabs right here, which open it and closes it, which is really cool. I will say, cool little addition. And then you got this little button thing that you just kind of push and it brings it out. So I guess you can just like capture the poor baby raptor if you wanted to, for whatever reason. So really cool. And the whole thing itself was pretty nicely sculpted. So really cool. And I like how they made the handles very small too, so it's enough for the characters to hold, even though it's impossible to probably hold something this big in real life. But really cool. Then we got some human accessories that actually can be applied to the human. A cool looking vest that can be applied to Alan Grant or possibly other figures if you want to. And some cool looking binoculars, which with this one you can just put very easily. Alrighty, so there we have Alan Grant all decked out and ready to go to hunt these dinosaurs. Now this reminds me of the Series 2 Alan Grant figure that came with the Kenner Jurassic Park toy line. I believe is 1994 when they released them, where they came with all sorts of accessories to literally weaponize all these human figures to go after dinosaurs, which is really cool. Even though this vest isn't necessarily accurate to what Kenner provided, it is a cool little Mattel twist, like I said. And you got some cool little binoculars that can be applied, to the head. So very cool, decked out, dinosaur ready Alan Grant. And the vest itself is pretty nicely sculpted too. Kind of reminds me of what we gotten with Owen a few times. So very cool. I like the cool little armorish look to it. So very nice. And last but not least, we got the capture gear for the Gallimimus, which the capture gear looks really nice, nicely sculpted on this one. So really cool. Much like, this is just like how Kenner made their capture gear, and I'm super happy to have this. So let's go ahead and apply this to the Gallimimus. Okay, so here we have the capture gear applied to this Gallimimus, and this is so cool. Look at this. The Gallimimus has officially been captured and ready to be relocated on the island somewhere, or in the mainland, wherever you want to take your story. So that's really cool. You got these two little ankle shackles right here, and you got this cool little headpiece that goes on the Gallimimus' head, and chains that lead down to these little wrist shackles right here. So this guy is literally captured and ready to be relocated. So that is very, very, very cool. Alrighty everyone, so that's about to wrap it up for this review. For my final thoughts, I'm giving this thing an immediate 10 out of 10. This thing is super cool. I love these little sets. I think this is really cool. I really hope Mattel, you continue this in the future. To get a human figure, a dinosaur that can have capture gear, a little hatchling, and some cool looking accessories. I think that makes for an awesome Jurassic Park set. The accessories that come with these are just super fun too. You can get cool looking poses, cool little adventures going, and they're just really cool to have. As you can see, this ridiculous looking pose right here with Alan Grant holding huge weapons. It's super cool. I adore the capture gear as well. So really enjoy this set and highly recommend it for any Jurassic Park collector, especially those who grew up with the Kenner toys back in the 90s. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this review. I'll see you guys again for the next review.